Hello everyone! Welcome back to Let's Read IO. So we've finished routes A through D. There's just one little thing that bugs me, which is this missing chunk right here. I think that corresponds to last bad ending on that route. Let's see. If I look at the scene list, I can see that there are only 2 scenes that are incomplete, which are, if I can scroll down, Approaching. That's the one where Yumi comes up to Hinata and helps him with the lem clue in the crossword puzzle. And then there's Just Thinking of You, which was the 0.1 ending. There's a little bit of something going on there, but I don't know what. I tried going through the route, but I can't think of what might trigger anything different. So, yeah, if it's something that I have to do something specific on another route, that would be rather strange. You know, when I saw that stuff in Route A that hinted at maybe that there might be hidden branch points that get activated later, you know, I thought of Remember 11, and that which has a lot of interplay between the routes, but that doesn't seem to be the case. And even if it's something that I have to do something specific on just Route A, that would be strange too, because I've gotten all of the other bad endings, and the most complex I've had to do is 2 specific choices. So I don't know. You know, if anyone knows if it's something I can do right now, I'd appreciate someone telling me. You know, otherwise, don't tell me. All right, so now it's time to start Route E. The world keeps kicking inside its womb. Womb, the mother's uterus? A place where something is generated or developed. Okay. Interesting to know they're using that sense of the word. It's quite literally a newly conceived creature, silently counting down the passage of time until its birth into this life. The fetus takes in and absorbs everything it can get from the womb and forces itself to evolve into its next step. And then it has a dream. A long, long dream with no sign of ending, no sign of awakening. But what kind of dream does a fetus see? Perhaps it yearns for the future it has yet to see. Or perhaps it clings to the past it will soon lose. It slowly tries to open its eyes, but its field of vision still reflects nothing. Here in this place, one can perceive no light, nor sound, nor pressure. One may even doubt if time exists. Perhaps the fetus's eyes aren't actually open at all. It might just still be dreaming that it's awoken from a dream. But either way, it doesn't matter. Because here in this place, one cannot even perceive loneliness. But this is not without reason. Because when everything exists here, how can one feel lonely? It is here where various materials meld into each other and form organic matter. Metal ions, amino acids, sugars, everything mixes into structures and intertwining polymers. Coacervates. What's filling this space is primordial soup, so to speak. Coacervate. Small spherical liquid droplets that can form when two liquids of dissimilar densities are mixed. As the solution gradually separates into the high-density liquid and the low-density liquid, droplets of the high-density liquid can form inside the low-density liquid. The droplets are not living organisms, but they can grow, assimilate, and divide upon reaching a certain size. Theoretically, coacervates containing proteins and nucleic acids could assimilate external organic matter and replicate into a microcosm of life. Primordial soup, also known as Ursoup, theorized as the organic matter that formed in the rain and the sea billions of years ago when the fusion of asteroids and comets gave birth to the Earth. This organic soup evolved into the primeval cells through the help of basic enzymes. The transcription of mineral crystal patterns inside of those cells gave birth to DNA. That DNA served to initiate the self-replication of these primeval cells. In other words, primordial soup was a liquid that served as the foundation of abiogenesis. Or abiogenesis, I should say. The primeval ocean that existed on the Earth before life was born. If it were to be likened to something, it was a giant life form from the time when everything was one, the time before the distinction of self and other. In that primordial liquid, the fetus begins to submit itself to a short sleep once again as billions of bubbles rise to the surface, as if to continue sleeping while staying awake, to respin the fabric of the disarrayed dream correctly. Just before its eyes close, a sudden thought comes to it. How long has this been going on? What reason is there to be here? Just where did this consciousness come from? It sounds familiar. In the distance of this dim, wavering field of vision, a staircase that depicts an infinite spiral can be seen. At its terminus is the moon, dyed a deep crimson. Oh, that's it. We came from there. We kick off of space as if taking a quick turn in swimming. And like that, we head off into the deep, deep depths, searching for the bottom. The dream of the end begins. Oh, this is... Suddenly, a cacophony of machine guns firing aimlessly pounds upon my eardrums as if to rend my consciousness apart. Resounding cries of agony, the smell of blood, the taste of iron. An uncomfortable air coils around the atmosphere. A sense of oppression that could make my stomach implode upon itself. Discomfort and disgust pierce my every pore as if my body has been submerged into a septic tank. And yet, as if in contradiction, I can't help but feel intensely exhilarated. Now, we've previously seen that this eye is, corresponds to the One-sama lem. I also, in going through Route A, I noticed that it also appeared in Mutsuki's diary. So, yeah. That's assuming that's the same color. I'm going to assume that. It all feels overwhelmingly real. How long has it been since I last felt so, complete, without having to throw myself into a blood-stained battlefield? Battlefield. Indeed, this is a battlefield. A holy crusade meant to restore unto this depraved world its true form. I speak those words as if I were trying to persuade myself. Wait, we're Enlil?
これは我々が世界に宣戦布告するために必要な
By forming words from these thoughts, they become the truth to me and to my brethren. Forming words. The concept that language as a whole has a soul, and therefore certain kinds of words carry spiritual power. In a culture which accepts the power of words, certain topics must not be spoken of lightly because of the destructive power they carry. Bragging, known colloquially as speaking out the word, was one such topic in ancient Japan. By speaking out the word, the spiritual power associated with one's boasts would invite disaster. For this reason, bragging was taboo. In a famous cautionary tale, the hero Yamato Takeru once spoke the word that he defeated a mountain god with his bare hands. The god caused an intense rain to fall that caused Yamato Takeru to fall ill with an incurable illness. A smile naturally forms upon my lips. Indeed, what we desire is not thrill-seeking genocide, nor meaningless rebellion, but structured destruction for the sake of reconstruction under our noble cause. May 25th, 2032, Chuo, Tokyo, Bay Area, Exarch's Japanese branch office. We at Code have seized complete control of the building's IDC, Internet Data Center, through sheer force. We cracked their systems and neutralized their staff, be it through capture or casualty. And on top of that, we've completely erased Criminal, the pestering hacker team that dared oppose us. That same day, instead of ending our subversive activities there, we use our remaining momentum to deal with their families as well. Oh my goodness. A thorough massacre, I would surmise. As for our rationale, our objectives were not merely to declare a full-scale world war, but to crush Exarch's dignity as well. After our complete usurpation of their center, I immediately cracked their satellite lines to broadcast both their sorry state and our noble intentions worldwide. The world was shocked at the sudden upheaval. At the dawning of war, just how real does that seem to them? Before long, terrorist groups the world over will no doubt commence their own operations in response. Just a short while ago, we were informed of a large-scale uprising in San Francisco, right in Exarch's home territory. Acceptable results. I mutter as I softly stroke the scabbard of my beloved sword that has served me well for a long time. Then we wouldn't have had to process her and her team as criminals. Ishtar, my former friend who once shared a common dream with me. Though even back in those days we clashed countless times. Perhaps it was fated ever since those days that things would end this way. I bite my lip and steel my disheveled heart. Just how many friends have I cut down so far?
Leader.
When I calm down from my maelstrom of meandering musings, I'm greeted by one of my trusted subordinates. I urge him onwards with a glance.
報告します。あと残るは面倒なサイバーフォースと例の母親だけです。
A progress report on Code's active force in their erasure of criminals and Exarch's families. All that remains are Investigator Miyata Masayuki, leader of Cyberforce, and Aoi Hinata's mother. I believe her name was Himeka, if I'm interpreting his report correctly. But still...
直ちに部隊をそちらへと急行させ。
待て。官憲とはいずれ雌雄を決せねばならんだろう。だが彼女は捨ておくがよい。
よろしいのですが、確かご命令は皆殺しであったから。
害になろうか。それを刀の錆にしたところで我らの名誉が上がるね。
I look into Tamuza's eyes as I speak. For just a moment, a tint of confusion mixes in them, but that soon enough changes into a hue of compliance.
は、わかりました。
覚悟せよ。今宵我らは 二度と引き返せぬ血の川を渡る。行くぞ。
Prepare, for we shall wear our permanent dishonor and record our misdeeds into the annals of history. But we do so for the sake of the coming world. We are the operation to excise the malignant tumor from the body of society. And how many operations are successful without bloodshed? As long as it's for that cause, I will gladly give up this body of mine. The vast sea of the net, both nowhere and everywhere at once. Before my eyes is an open window to the world of real space, and there I can see Enlil advancing towards the next target with ironclad determination. Wait. Are we Aya then? I'm confused. I silently gaze upon the scene as I twirl my index finger through the hair flowing over my shoulder. Endless loss, fear, despair. Yumi writhes on the ground, screaming at the top of her lungs, but instead of words, all that comes out is blood. Countless waves of sharp pain pierce my body. It hurts too much to even speak. It hurts, 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 it hurts. It hurts beyond all belief. It makes every pain I've ever felt before seem like a scratch in comparison. The flood of tears from my right eye, the red liquid seeping from my left eye that I'm trying to push back with my hands, both pour down my face with no signs of stopping. To my horror, my hands feel nothing there. Something's missing. Behind those hands now is nothing more than an orifice that's secreting red bodily fluids. Yumi's eye was... The gun took... I can't form any other thoughts. If only I could just pass out, how much easier it would be. But every time my consciousness recedes, the pain brings it right back. It feels like the pains of the lowest level of hell. The dread, the pain, the fear, the suffering, the pain. Oh, the pain. Save me, One-chan. Dad, Mom, somebody, anybody, save me. Where are you? One-chan, Dad, Mom, leader, Kosuke-kun, leader. Leader, One-chan, I've had enough. I want to go home. I'm scared. I want to go home. Hinata-kun, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I'm going to die. Yumi's going to die. Somebody, anybody. It hurts. It hurts. A thick mist of some sort begins to coat the area. My vision fades. I lose sight of everything. That's when I notice that all of the pain, all of that intense pain, starts to fade away, as if washed away by waves. Ah, I see now. I already understand. Yumi will die very soon. As soon as I acknowledge that, my heart slowly calms down. I'm prepared to accept it all. Except, if there's one thing that's too hard to accept, it's the fact that he is standing next to Yumi. In the world consumed by mist, only one thing is clear, him. Why did he come? For Yumi. There's no need to think about it. It's because Yumi called him here. He came to save us, Yumi and all her friends, just like he saved Yumi back then. But he was just a little too late. Just a little too late. He silently looks at Yumi through his sunglasses. Slowly, his eyes ask Yumi a question. Who to kill? The question sends a reverberating knock through Yumi's heart. Yumi silently shakes her head. It's okay now. Nobody has to be killed. Yumi prays, and with that alone, Yumi knows that he understands. Yumi doesn't want to take away anyone's life. It's just that there were people who deserved to live more than Yumi did. The tears I thought had run out come streaming once again from my right eye. The dampness warms my cheek. Who to save? Without a moment's delay, he asks one more question. The first person who comes to Yumi's mind is Leader. Our leader, who gave Yumi our precious rosary. The world still needs her. The world still needs her deeds. She can't be left to die. If her life can be saved, then I don't mind what happens to my own. I see. I could almost swear I saw he nod. And with that gesture alone, I feel saved. Thank goodness. I'm sure if anyone can handle this, he can. Just like how he did back then. With a calm heart and a warm smile, Yumi's consciousness quietly sinks away, like tears soaking into the sand. Lying there is a body almost completely deprived of sensation. Remaining there is a mind almost completely deprived of thought. Even so, I'm certainly still here. Despite the state I've ended up in, I can feel myself. Quite a strange yet familiar sensation. That said, what meaning is there to the current me? All I can do is accept the world as it is and surrender myself to it. Accept it as it is. Surrender myself to it. Huh? Wait. In the first place, who am I? Where am I? Where am I? Who is this? What is this world I'm accepting as it is and submitting myself to? Suddenly, I feel someone's presence. They're looking at me.
これは助からないな。くそ。
Everything starts to get distant. I can hear something again. Hey, it's Negro's lab.
どうにかならないの。
Ah, that's Yayoi. A grim voice. A voice I definitely know.
完全にフラットライン。いわゆる脳死だな。仮に人工補填で欠損部を埋めたとしても、意識が戻ってくるかどうかは五分と五分。
Who is this? I don't think I've heard this voice before.
50% も助かる可能性があるなら、さっさとやりなさいよ。
誰が払うんだ？あんたのポケットマネーでなんとかなるような額じゃねえぜ、
人命が絡んでるってのに、ネルガル、あんたって人は。
この瞬間にも世界中で毎分何十人って人間が死んでいってるんだぜ。夢も希望もあるだろうに。10歳にも満たず、人間としての暮らしも知らないまま、のたれ死ぬ連中がいっぱいいるんだ。なのにただ、あんたの知り合いだからって、何の不自由もなく今まで暮らしてきたこいつを、助けなきゃならねえ義理はねえ。いいか、俺は儲からねえ仕事はやらねえんだ。
見損なったわ。あんたそれでもアヌンナキの重鎮の一人なの？
はっ、ちゃんちゃらおかしいぜ。そんな組織をあんたが抜けた時点で崩壊してる。それに俺が破産に追い込まれて、店を畳まなきゃならなくなったら困るのは誰だ？あ？
わかったわ。私が間違ってたよね。
ご理解が早く助かりますよ。
だからこの通り、昔のよしみでお願い。ね？
おい、土下座すりゃ済む問題じゃねえんだよ。困ったやつだな。
もう自分のせいで誰かを犠牲にするのはごめんなのよ。
寝言は寝てから言え。お前が放り出したせいでバビロンがどうなったか分かってんのか？
だからその責任は取る。私はバビロンに戻るよ。
本気か？
メグの了承も取ってあるし。
ええやんの？
それに、司のやらかしたことの落とし前は、ちゃんと私がつけるからさ。だから、ね。
Tsukasa? Yeah, that's, Enlil.
いや、それとこれとは話が別だ。
何よ、それ。
I emotionlessly listen to their exchange. It seems that they're worried about something related to me, but none of this feels real to me at all. I continue to listen without really listening, as if they were talking about someone else's business or something else completely unrelated to me.
そうだな。じゃあバビロンの利権、俺によこせ。運営と返済の計画を立てろ。それで十分に黒が出そうだったら考えてやる。
何を言ってるのよ。今もこの瞬間、この命はどんどん蘇生分岐点に向かいつつあるのよ。即手術をしないと。
おめえは自分の落とし前つけるだけなんだから、生活費ぐらい抜ければバビロンの利権なんかいらねえだろ。
相変わらず金の亡者ね。あんたって人は。
お褒めに預かり恐縮の至りだね。やめとけやめとけ。仇に戻って久しいあんたに睨まれたって怖くもなんとも。
やりなさい、ネルガル。
誰？
おい、まさかお前。
さっきの声どこから？
私のネットでの基金だいぶあるはずです。足りないとしても今までの私の働き、あなたも知ってるでしょ？返済できない額にはなりません。それにアヌから適正な額のバビロン資金を流してもらえば十分お釣りが来るはずではなくて。
あのポット。
おめえがそう言うならわかったよ。しかしそこまでして蘇生させる価値がこいつにあるってのか？
まさかあなた。
It is then that all sounds around me are cut off. A cruel alarm resounds to alert someone of something. I stare at this gruesome scene spread out before me with regret filling me. A person, on top of a person, all lying in a heap. Heaps of people, friend and foe alike, lying on their sides like a pile of discarded porcelain dolls on trash day. The choking scent of blood that had been poisoning the air a while ago has now almost completely subsided. Have I already lost my sense of smell, or is this the work of the fire-extinguishing nitrogen gas? Nitrogen gas. Are we going to suffocate to death here? Is everyone's air supply going to be cut off like a stopped faucet? Mika, Sami, Kosuke, Yumi. I've lost almost all my ability to think. I faintly realize within my fading consciousness that even on the verge of death, nothing feels real.
お姉様。
I hear a voice.
あかり。あかり。
A voice calling out.
あかり。あかり。
A voice calling out to me.
あかり。
That's my name. My nearly forgotten real space name. Akatsuki Akari. Hardly anybody knows that name, let alone the fact that it belongs to me. Which means this voice must belong to.
かわいそうなあかり。あなたはこんなところで死ぬべきではない。
I can't speak. I can't raise a finger. I can't even tell if my body is here. But what I can tell is that this feels nice. Like the calming embrace of an elder sister, like the euphoria of being gazed at by a lover. She's the one I longed for. Hers is the voice I longed to hear. My One-sama.
あなたの思いはきちんと誰かに託すことができて。
Yes, One-sama. I answer her in my mind. No, wait. Can I really be sure that I have? Yumi. What happened with my Yumi? Was she saved? Is she alive? Or did she... I try to remember. I don't know. Last thing I remember, she was shot through in the eye and started writhing on the floor in pain. Yumi. Yumi. My vision grows brighter and brighter. I'm soaked deeper in euphoria, in security, in ecstasy. I feel like I'm floating. I'm... Yumi? Is that you, Yumi? Yumi, you must survive. At the very least, you must live. If only I had just a little more strength left, I'd spend it all to protect you. And now we're several weeks later. Who to kill? Who to save? My ears are ringing. I'm dragged out of empty space once again. Where am I? This is the world without light, sound, or gravity. In the blackness, I have a dream of floating on air. No, that's a bit wrong. Rather than it feeling as if I'm floating in the air, it's like I'm floating in water. I feel like I've become an aquatic animal, as if I'd evolved backwards, or transferred to another evolutionary line altogether. A dolphin. Perhaps dolphins have these sorts of dreams, with these sorts of feelings. I remembered that in the distant past, I had thought about what kind of dreams dolphins had as I watched them swimming in a giant tank. Why was I thinking about dolphins, and dolphins' dreams no less? It feels like someone is asking me that. But who? Something shining passes in front of me. It then flutters in mid-air. A fairy? Isn't that... The fairy is whispering something to me. But I can't hear it. What? What is it? I can't hear you. Before I know it, there are now 2 fairies flying in the air. 2? The 2 fairies motion for me to follow and then fly away. It seems as if they're trying to guide me somewhere. Wait! Wait! Where are you going? One of the fairies says something to me. I still can't hear anything, but my heart makes a sound. Could you be... The 2 fairies are smiling sweetly at me, or so it feels like. Suddenly, I feel both gravity and proprioception, the weight of the world, the weight of myself. But something's weird. I hear a voice. Who? Who is that? I try to turn my head in an attempt to see the owner of the voice. But contrary to my will, my body won't quite move the way I'm telling it to. To that extent, I feel a strange thick and heavy sensation. Was my body always this heavy? My field of vision is unstable. I can barely hear anything either. I can't even speak to ask about what's going on. Although I'm perplexed, I use every trick in the book to try to move my body. I focus my consciousness on my fingers, and first try bending one of them. Then 2, 3, 4. I slowly clench my hand into a fist, and then open it again. Now that my arm's listening to me again, and I can control it at will, I start to stand up this time. My body is heavy and stiff. My senses slowly become more vivid. My consciousness starts to become clearer.
いいわ、その調子よ。
With awkward movements, I finally stand up. As if it were expecting that, the inside of my head makes a sound. Commencing connection to cerebral nerves. Olfactory, that should be olfactory. Nerve connection, 100%. Oculomotor nerve connection, 30%. Trochlear, 100%. Trigeminal, 100%. Adducers, 100%. Facial, 100%. Of course. Did the same thing as before. Let me read it. Vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory, hypoglossal, optic. Okay. At the same time, my vision clears up. Numbers and what appear to be meters stretch out before my eyes. What is this? My way of seeing things is weird. And what was that sound earlier? Strange symptoms swoop down on me in succession. I feel intense bewilderment and bottomless fear. What is this? This isn't normal. And a second later, my field of vision completely changes as if nothing had happened. I don't understand my current situation or myself very well. I just know this one thing. The current me isn't normal. What happened to my body? For some reason, the sensations in my right and left arms are different from each other. When I notice that sense of discomfort, I look at my right arm in order to confirm the reason. I can't tell just by looking at it. I timidly stretch my left hand out and try touching it. It's hard, too hard. It feels like it's metal. Is this an artificial hand? Something passes by in the corner of my field of vision. Is someone there? Standing over there is an unfamiliar young man. Oh, I bet it's a reflection. He looks about 20 years old, a young man with a strong body. Is he the owner of that voice from earlier? I've never seen that face before, but his features vaguely resemble someone's face, a face that I know very well. I try to remember and bring my left hand to my forehead. I'd only intended it as a casual action, but just then... What? The person before my eyes puts his hand to his forehead as well, with the same timing, with the same hand, in the same way. That young man looks at me with eyes full of surprise and bewilderment. This is... I try touching my cheeks. I touch my chest. I try reaching my hand out for my head. The young man perfectly replicates my actions and moves at the exact same times that I do. I don't need to think about it any longer. That's a mirror. My reflection's in it, my own figure. But my brain reflexively denies that. My brain keeps screaming, "This isn't me! This can't be me!" Even though I'm uncertain of my identity right now, that desire to deny it alone is clear. An unfamiliar body, 5 senses that feel out of place, mechanical sensations, hard textures, body parts that feel artificial, a form that's like that of another person. There's just one solution I can derive from this. My brain mercilessly strikes me with that realization. I shake my head countless times and tear at my hair with trembling hands. A scream like that of a crushed frog escapes from my throat like a deep breath. I want someone to deny this reality, to tell me this is all wrong. This is wrong. This is all wrong. 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 The young man's eyes are wide, his hair is disheveled, and his lips are trembling like crazy. He stares at me as if looking at a monster. He also denies me. He denies my denial. At the bottom of my heart is another me that affirms everything. This is you. What the hell happened to me?
Oi, ochitsuke.
That's the owner of the voice from earlier. I turn around. A familiar woman is standing there. I soon remember. Hinata, that's my name.
聞いて、ひなた。あのね。
Her story rejects my hopes and at the same time supports my hypothesis. My whole body, including my brain, has been cyberized. In other words, I've become a cyborg. That's how I, who was on the brink of death, ended up barely surviving with my life. My current body is 2/3 mechanical. Well, this is not at all surprising. And now we've jumped back in time. I think it was, yeah. What is this? Who could this person be? Who is this girl in the mirror? Oh wait. A sudden overwhelming identity crisis strikes. Why is this girl here? 2 legs buckle underneath, an arm reaches out, seeking support. When suddenly, someone stretches out a helping hand.
ありがとう。弥生先生？
The school doctor. Sensei smiles upon hearing her name.
気分はどう？ユミ。
Yumi. Yumi. Mayumi. Mayumi. That's right. That's Yumi's name. But why?
ユミは一体。
So many things are unclear. What? Why? How? So many questions run through my head.
まあなんとかうまくいったってとこか。
Another voice. I turn around, and there stands that old junk shop man, Nergal, with his usual scowl. Now that I think about it, I've seen this place before. It's the operating room in the back of Death's Crossroads. Made it through? Made it through what? My memory is too disheveled to remember clearly. The questions don't stop. On the contrary, they just keep cascading. Sensei gently embraces Yumi in her confusion.
もう大丈夫。平気よ。私が守ってあげる。
Protect? Protect Yumi? From whom? From what?
誰が誰を守れるってんだ。自分のことは自分で面倒見るしかねえだろ。これ以上手間を。
さいわね。あんたは少し黙ってらっしゃい。
へいへい。たく。どいつもこいつも。どうしてあのなきの連中は気ぐらいの高いお嬢様ばかりなんだが。
それよりもちゃんとうまくいったの？ユミ、ぼんやりして話が分かってないみたいだけど。
おいおい、そいつはもともとそういうやつだったろうが。心配すんな。長い間意識を失ってたんで状況把握に時間がかかってるだけだ。情報処理が追っつかねえんだよ。すぐに元通りになる。電脳も異常なし。埋め込んだ左の義眼だってバッチリさ。オールグリーンだ。苦労したんだぜ。適合性に問題がなく、おまけにあんたの注文通りに右目と同じ色の義眼を調達するのは。
当たり前でしょ。女の子なのよ。そのくらい気を使いなさい。
面倒な奴らだな。
New information comes streaming in like raging rapids. Grip on the situation. Unconscious for a long period of time. Biocomputer. Artificial. Left eye. Left eye. Left eye. Lost. My left. A sudden flashback, accompanied with endless dread and pain. My arms and legs flail about in chaos. All reason is instantly blown away. I somewhat understand that the pain is an illusion, but it's so scary, so dreadful, so terrifying that I don't know what to do.
落ち着いて、ユミ。もう大丈夫なの。大丈夫。だから落ち着いて。ね。
Sensei holds Yumi down. She embraces Yumi, calls out to Yumi, and holds Yumi tightly so that she doesn't disappear.
落ち着いて、ユミ。まゆみ。
Yumi manages to calm down after a short while, but she can't stop trembling. Yumi's brain begins to burn and fry to a crisp as unpleasant memories come rushing back like a high-speed projector spinning through slides. My friends kept falling, one by one, in a living indoor hell. Tears drip and drop. The trembling won't stop. Did Yumi come back from that hell? Yumi looks back up at Sensei. But Sensei just bites her lip, hangs her head, and shakes her head. No way. Everyone died? Yumi's the only survivor? Yumi didn't just lose her left eye, but One-chan, the leader, and her friends, and her left half?
お前さんだけ助かったのだって奇跡みたいなもんだ。それだけでもよかったじゃねえか。違わねえ。現実を見つめろ。夢ばかり見てると、後でひどく傷つくぞ。
No. No, you're wrong. This isn't good at all. This is all Yumi's fault for being unable to restrain he after calling on him. It's Yumi's fault. It's all because of Yumi. Yumi's to blame. So why? Why did nobody else survive? Why was Yumi the only one? Yumi gently brushes Sensei away and heads outside on unsteady feet. There I am greeted by the sunset sky. My tearful eyes are stained scarlet by the setting sun. Come to think of it, the sunset seems to be the same color it was on the day I learned that Dad died. I suddenly get the urge to check the time. The left-hand corner of my vision projects the timestamp, June 2nd, 2032, 4:51 p.m. And now back to June 23rd. Hang on a second. Okay. I thought there was... No, okay. Oh. So... So that's 3 weeks later. In the right corner of my field of vision, I see that it's June 23rd, 2032, 4:52 p.m. My body has already become a complete machine. I've lost so many things, and not just my flesh and blood body. I've been damaged. There's a lot of things I can never regain. I soon recovered my memories. I completely remember who I am and why I fell into this kind of situation. I had to accept all those feelings of bitterness, sorrow, and regret. The sun begins to set. I wish I could disappear just like that. As soon as I think that, I feel something behind me. There's 2 people there. No tension runs through me. There's no danger. They're not hostile people. I don't even need to turn around to know who the first one is. Those cigarettes she loves so much, the scent of menthol, it's Yayoi-sensei. But who's the other one?
君は結局助かったんだな。よかったよ。
I don't know. Well, I have some ideas. It's a man in his late 40s wearing a suit. Gray hairs are beginning to stick out on the hair on his head. His cheeks are thin and sharp. He's got stubble on his chin. He's not too tall, but his body is solidly built, and his appearance gives off an intimidating air. Above all else, his eyes are discerning. They give off a glint similar to a falcon's. But his voice sounds full of exhaustion. That's the only fragility I can see in his appearance. But have I heard this voice somewhere before?
あなたは
ああ、申し遅れた。
He says that, takes a business card out of his tattered suit, and gives it to me.
警視庁電脳課の宮田だ。
The business card reads, Metropolitan Police Department Biocomputer Division 3 Network Special Investigations Team Assistant Inspector Miyata Masayuki.
電脳課の特捜隊。 サイバーフォースの。
さすが詳しいな。その通りだ。
Meaning that he's one of the guys that has been investigating the recent net-related incidents, such as those related to cyber terrorism in Babylon and Sin. But they were also the ones who treated me as a suspect of sorts. Has he come to arrest me? When I give him a dubious look, he casts his eyes down slightly.
駆けつけるのが遅れてすまなかった。ヘリで急行したんだが。
じゃあ。
The investigator nods.
悪いが、君の蘇生にはうちの部署が1枚噛ませてもらったよ。君が今後、妙なテロリストとかに命を狙われないように、元の身元は完全に抹消させてもらう。新たな人間として世に復帰してくれ。
新たな人間。
そうだ。姿も名前も過去もだ。
Don't you mean your future too? I'm about to say that, but swallow my words.
とにかく君はもう安全で自由なんだ。安心してくれ。
The investigator mutters this as he stares at the setting sun. I see through his lie immediately. I'm not safe in the slightest. I'm not free either. In this curse known as death, I'll accomplish nothing, nor will I gain anything. I'll just continue to lose things for eternity. I will do nothing but powerlessly continue an endless existence of kill and be killed.
あいつは。
The places that bastard stabbed my body in begin to throb. To me, who lost all his scarred and pierced sections and had them cyberized, those parts are just something like phantom limbs now, but...
出雲司はどうなったんですか？
逃げたよ。どこに潜伏してるのかまだわからない。まあその件に関してまた君に協力してもらうこともあるだろう。辛かったろう。とりあえず今はゆっくり休んで頭を整理した方がいい。そうだ。あとこれを。
When he says that, he takes something out of his pocket and puts it in my hands. It feels hard and heavy. It's a watch. It doesn't just show the time, it has a stopwatch function and a moon's phase function built into it as well. It's certainly an extremely valuable chronograph. Moon phase function, a mechanism that displays the moon's age, usually in the form of a watch that gives a graphical representation of the moon's waxing and waning. It displays the moon's 29.5-day cycle with a half-visible rotating disk that depicts the moon. The cycle is shown by revealing or concealing part of the moon each day. There's a carved seal of an X on the dial. This watch, I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Did I catch a glimpse of it somewhere on the net or on TV, in a commercial or a mail order or something? As I blankly stare at the watch, the investigator taps my shoulder without another word. He then waves his hand and slowly leaves. I emotionlessly see him off. What kind of face am I making now? Yayoi-sensei, who had just been watching silently up until now, places a hand on my shoulder and opens her mouth. When I realize she's going to offer me sympathy, I quickly go rigid and speak.
誰が生き返らせてくれってお願いしました。
I regret those words as soon as they leave my lips.
Hinata.
That's something that nobody should ever say, no matter the reason. Why am I always doing stupid shit like this? God damn it.
ごめんなさい。先生。一人にさせてください。
I turn my back to her and look up at the sky again. I can't see Sensei's face.
わかったわ。ごめんなさい。私。
Sensei quickly begins to leave. Her pained voice echoes in my mechanical heart. What kind of face am I making? I return to my room and sit down on the bunk that's been provided for me. My brain has been biocomputerized. I can now access the net with a mere thought. I close my eyes and connect my consciousness to the wireless network that's been laid all around the city. By linking with it, it feels like I can slightly bury these feelings of loneliness akin to being trapped in a cold cave. On the other hand, I don't know what I want to learn or see. There's way too much I still don't know. And what I really want to obtain doesn't exist on the net. I reluctantly search the keywords that come to my mind on cyberspace. Lem, Sin, Exarch, Terrorism, Enlil, Code, IC, Murder, Whereabouts Unknown. By doing that, I think I can learn what was going behind the scenes regarding what happened to me. No matter what facts are hidden from me, I'll find them all, even if they're fragmented. Countless pieces of information surge forward like pouring rain. I begin to filter out all the information that's irrelevant to me. There's a forum that glorifies the Babylon Fairy Lem. It's a membership site where members of the fan club called Dro post messages. It's possible to browse the site even if you're not a member, so I tried checking it out. There, I find out that Sin has died. The members of Dro are deifying Sin as a martyr and saint. When I check the time and date of death, I find that Sin is amongst the people who died on May 25th. I don't even need to think about it to know that they did it. I am suddenly assaulted by nausea and headaches. I close that page. The world has fallen into chaos. Many countries' news sites have videos reporting on riots and uprisings that have broken out in various cities. One headline says, "The 100th monkey effect is rampant all over the world. Is this the arrival of a dark age of terror?" Frightening acts of terrorism have unfolded in various places. It began in Tokyo, then Fukuoka, Seoul, Hong Kong, Beijing, Singapore, Moscow, Berlin, Rome, London, Paris, New York City, Los Angeles, Vancouver, Zurich, Sydney, Copenhagen, 20 major cities all over the world. The pattern is that all of these cities had Exarch branch offices. Said uprisings range from physical terrorism to cyber terrorism, but they're all responding in coordination and acting with a nearly synchronized pace, as if they're supplementing each other. Or you could say the phenomenon is continuing to spread like a multiplying virus. The start of this was code cyber terrorism. On May 25th, large-scale cyber terrorism occurred at Exarch's Japanese branch office building in the Chuo Bay area. It was a catastrophe that not only ended with the complete takeover of the company's IDC, but also many casualties and missing persons. The outbreak of terrorism spread to each country, and before long, the number of incidents explosively increased, apparently linked together in this current global upheaval. The 100th monkey effect phenomenon. A hypothesis concerning living creatures from a psychological point of view, derived from an existing phenomenon. I then begin to write down notes on facts I find on the net in the order I discover them. In a certain place, there was a monkey who learned how to wash potatoes in seawater and then eat them. By doing that, the monkeys around her learned how to make potatoes more delicious, and little by little, they reached the point where they imitated that action. Gradually, that action began to spread to the rest of the group, from 10 monkeys to 20, then 30, then 40. Before long, the number of monkeys washing potatoes exceeded 99, and when the number reached over 100, all of a sudden, from that time onward, monkeys in regions away from those first 100 simultaneously reached the point where they could see how to perform the action of washing potatoes in the ocean. Now, I went and checked on this, and this is based on, well, basically it's based on a misunderstanding of the relevant research. You can check the notes that I made to find out more. I'm not going to say anything more in the video. Monkeys at plots of lands and islands far away from the first 100 monkeys were observed washing potatoes and eating them. At first, it was just one monkey who performed the different action of washing potatoes in seawater, then it slowly spread. And when it reached a certain fixed number, knowledge of that action was spread to their distant fellow monkeys simultaneously like a wildfire. And finally, it ended up becoming common knowledge to monkeys as a whole. An American biologist, Dr. Lyle Watson, dubbed this phenomenon the 100th monkey phenomenon. This may seem like an obvious statement, but monkeys don't have methods such as phones or the net to transmit information. So how was it that information was transmitted instantaneously to monkeys in regions separated far by oceans in spite of that? In order to solve that mystery, scientists decided to apply an old hypothesis from psychology. According to that theory, it seems that all individuals of the same species are linked by an invisible network where one individual's memories are linked to the whole species. In other words, let's use monkeys as an example. The monkeys were all connected together via this invisible network, allowing all the monkeys to share information amongst each other. This theory originated from the concept proposed by the psychologist Jung, known as the collective unconsciousness. Of course, it goes without saying that it's possible for this to happen to humans too, not just monkeys. For example, fads that start from word of mouth, they slowly seep out from the small sphere they start out in and spread, and after a certain point in time has passed, they explosively spread all over the entire country and don't die down. First, there is an, at the time, very little known fact that's born from nothing. Next, that fact slowly begins to seep into its surroundings, then starts to spread. And before long, when the number of people who know that fact exceeds a certain fixed number, it's finally transmitted to the invisible network and immediately begins to be transmitted to the entire species. Perhaps, once the number of people who believe from the bottom of their hearts that a certain fact is true reaches that fixed number, it might become the truth to everyone. This is a theory born from the phenomenon known as the 100th monkey effect. Let's get back on topic. Yes, please. If we assume this theory is correct, then all of this can be explained. The explosive outbreak of resonating terrorism occurring all over the world happened when the idea of the first act of terrorism conducted by code spread to various places, and terrorists acted in concert by starting uprisings one by one. Because the number of those incidents exceeded a fixed number, it transformed terrorism all over the world via the invisible network. Setting aside the authenticity of this, it's an undeniable fact that acts of terrorism are currently breaking out all over the world, and that the number of these acts is continuing to increase by the day. No, this is certainly a case of as long as you believe the news, then it's a fact. Even though I've gone through this myself, I still can't feel any sense of reality from this. I can't feel any sense of reality from that world on the other side of a thin veil divided by a monitor. But for now, I should put away these kinds of useless problems. As it is, all I can do is be skeptic of even skepticism itself. Skepticism, a paradigm based on the belief that all knowledge is unreliable. If true, that belief itself would be unreliable, so skepticism is an inherent contradiction. This questioning worldview usually develops from the confusion when one's personal opinion contradicts what is considered to be a universal truth. Whether this is the real world or a fictional world, if things keep up like this, it will soon decline into a world ruled by chaos and violence, just like Babylon. Terrorists all around the world are beginning to adopt the one who started this all, Enlil, or Izumo Tsukasa, as a symbol of terrorism, dubbing their newfound hero as the Messiah of the New World and the once and future king. A video on a certain underground site shows Enlil at his highest, giving a speech.
聞け！我らが愛しき同胞。世界に虐げられし愛し。イマジナリチルドレンよ。迫害こそは、選ばれし者の勲章として胸に刻むにふさわしい。我らこそが、この新しき世界に適応する新世代であることを、誇りにするがよい。汝らの受難の日々は終わった。今こそ立ち上がれ！我が同胞よ！武器を取って総決起せよ！世界秩序は崩壊し、エクサークの陰謀はついえる。我らの団結の炎は、誰にも消すことはできない！
When the speech ends, I see excerpts from the corporation's private documents, recordings of a video conference, and images of the inside of a building taken by a security camera. In addition, fragmented images from what appears to be the company's database begin to appear one after another, obviously being company secrets. Occasionally, I'll see a large X logo move across the screen. These images are obviously exposing Exarch's secret affairs. That is to say, bribery, arms smuggling, supplying technology to countries with nuclear weapons, subversive activities, assassinations, human trafficking, live human experimentation, way too many illegal transactions to list. What particularly sticks out is that Exarch, who prides in it being the world's #1 shareholder on cyberware that originates in biocomputers, is also well known for independently developing its own immunosuppressants for cyberware via a patented process and having a virtual monopoly on that market. A virtual monopoly. Over the last few years, Exarch and federal officials have been trading blows in a fierce antitrust lawsuit. Because both sides have become bogged down in the legal system, the prospects for a settlement anytime soon are unlikely at best. However, those immunosuppressants cause certain chemical reactions from which destrudo and libido can be extracted. Huh. Okay. These chemical reactions occur through artificial organs, cyborg parts. Therefore, when the medicine is administered to people who have undergone cybernetic surgery, they produce opioids within the body. What does this all mean? In other words, nano-oracle, the immunosuppressants, itself creates severe cyberware dependence. Nano-oracle, a medicine developed by Exarch in order to alleviate the side effects caused from the incompatibility between cyberware and the human body. The name means microscopic trust. Recently, it's been pointed out that portions of its composition closely resemble the designer drugs destrudo and libido. So people buy medicine to reduce their dependence, which causes their symptoms to worsen as a result. This creates an endless cycle of people needing to buy Exarch's medicine. That corporation is so profit-hungry that they subjected people to chemical poisoning. This is nothing short of inhuman, is it? Exarch is manipulating people via drugs and cyberware? Can we allow these bastards to continue such reckless actions any further? Those are the kinds of issues that Code is passionately bringing to light. The story is simply way too dramatic, and the evidence is lacking authenticity, so it doesn't seem like any legal measures can be taken right away. But the media, who loves gossip and radical topics, is practically on fire right now from having way too much fuel. For these last several months, although radical and mysterious incidents have continued to occur, the viewing public has quickly grown accustomed to the excitement. To those media moguls who are seeking new material, it's an unparalleled situation and the best bait. Combined with the repeated acts of terrorism, chaos is running through the world. All the governments of the countries that are taking this situation seriously are investing in their cyber forces, Special Investigation Corps, the CTC, United Nations Security Council's Counter-Terrorism Committee, and other such anti-terrorism groups. CTC, the United Nations Security Council's Counter-Terrorism Committee. It was established in UN Security Council Resolution 1373 during the Security Council's 4,385th meeting on September 28, 2001. The Security Council itself is a committee composed of 15 countries. What's more, all of Exarch's cybercore are going around trying to calm down both real space and cyberspace with their support. But the number of criminals is explosively increasing, so restraining them is effectively impossible, as their support never turns up in time. Even if they shut down sites and suspend part of their communication lines, they multiply their data even further like rats and scatter it. In today's world, suspending all communication lines is simply out of the question. If you did, it'd mean the collapse of the world. It doesn't look like there's anyone who can stop Code's force. There's also been changes in the way the media is reporting on Code. Beforehand, their actions were treated as a prolonging of sporadic, distracting pranks, even though they were very malicious, caused real harm to society, and even resulted in deaths. But they finally changed to full-scale cyber terrorists. A certain news show is displayed. News from May 26, 7 a.m. If I were to summarize all the points, it'd be like this. In the early dawn of May 25th, a large-scale armed conflict broke out in Exarch's Japanese branch building in the Chuo Bay area. It seems there were many casualties, but the crime scene is still chaotic, so details are still scarce. Around the same time, terrorists calling themselves Code hijacked a satellite broadcast, and then, from images that appeared to be a declaration of responsibility, established that the armed conflict was the terrorist group Code targeting Exarch via cyber terrorism. The authorities quickly took control of the situation and have taken motions towards arresting the criminal group, but we haven't seen any prominent movements. Another set of news is displayed. May 28th, 8:40 a.m. At this point in time, the details on the casualties had been confirmed. They read the names of the deceased and missing one after another. In that list are names that I've heard before, and names of people I almost mishear for familiar names. The deceased: Aoi Mitsuhiko, 40. Akashi Akari, 18. Ayase Mika, 17. What?
父さんがその事件で死んだ。まさか。
It's so sudden, but it doesn't feel real in the slightest. On that day, my father stayed over at his workplace as always, and naturally didn't go home the next day either. But to think that he became someone who would never return home when I was unaware of it. Up until now, I didn't know what kind of workplace my father had, or what kind of work he was participating in. I didn't try to know. I'd also forgotten up until right now that the company my father worked at was Exarch. Wait, don't tell me. I suddenly remember something. I remember where I'd seen the watch the investigator gave me earlier. It was on Dad's right arm. I'm sure this watch was always shining proudly on his right arm. This was Dad's watch. The X carved seal, it stands for Exarch. Dad told me that he'd gotten this watch from his company. It was a chronograph that he always wore with great care. In other words, this is a memento of Dad's. I run my finger across the watch's face. It's very cold, firm. Nothing but a chilly firmness. The tears won't come. I didn't even cry when Mutsuki vanished. My father and I had an estranged relationship. How could I cry anyway? I don't feel sad about losing him. In the first place, it had never actually felt like we were together up until now. I'm not sad. I'm not lonely. But I can't help but feel deep regret. I can't help but feel pathetic that I never really knew my father, and how up until his final moments he remained a distant being to me. They continue to announce the names of the deceased. Shinosuke Masumi, 16. Shinosuke Mayumi, 16. Miyata Kosuke, 17. Huh? I doubt my ears once again.
サミとユミまで。
I wasn't acquainted with those two for long, but by no means did we have an intimate relationship. But the shock I feel is immeasurable. How were they related to this incident? What's been going on behind me while I remained in my ignorance? The onslaught of various facts toys with and confuses me. The rhythm of my heartbeat quickens. It accelerates. It accelerates. It accelerates and accelerates. It feels like it'll explode any second. No way. Why did this have to happen? Why? 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 The intense confusion leaves me unable to think. The same phrases repeat endlessly like a broken record. Why? Why?
どうして。
Suddenly, the channel is hijacked again. There is a large projection of Endless face now.
この戦いは神の啓示なのだ。
After that solemn proclamation, his face disappears. Just then, my anger towards them, my hatred for Code, Exarch, and those people who continue to use us, fiercely swells up. That lump of emotion stems from my powerlessness to save my sister Mutsuki. As a result, my sense of helplessness from being unable to be of any use grows, and an even greater emotion swells up.
僕に力さえあれば
I declare this as if it were a curse. I powerlessly grit my teeth, curl my left hand into a fist, and punch the ground.
僕に力が
I punch the ground again, and hear the sound of something breaking. Did I break my fist? The current me can't even feel pain. That sort of thing no longer matters.
くそ
My screams urge my fists on, and I continue to punch the ground countless times. Mutsuki, Sakuya, Dad, Sakuya, Mutsuki.
くそ
I want to smash everything to the point where no semblance of their original forms can be found. These massively swelling emotions become a thick lump of tar. They feel like they're swallowing me whole right now.
誰も奴らを止められない。誰も奴らを殺せない。誰も彼女を救えない。
Before long, I turn these strong emotions inwards. If no one can do it, then I will, with my own 2 hands.
力が欲しい。何者にも屈しない絶大な力が。この深い絶望から這い上がれる力が。
At that moment, my biocomputer receives countless signals sent out by someone else. Voices seeking help, prayers, confessions, voices profoundly asking for the arrival of something. Voices. Far, far away from those voices. There he waits, past billions of routers, running through many networks. The god of cyberspace, or perhaps its devil. A majestic presence. At that moment, for the first time in my life, I believe in the existence of God. Who to kill? Who to save? A wide empty space devoid of anyone but Yumi. A secret hiding place provided by Yayoi-sensei, who said, "It's safe here." It may be safe, but it's dark and cold and lonely. I feel so hopeless and lonely that I could die.
みんな、お姉ちゃん、お母さん、お父さん。
Yumi just mopes around on the bed, hugging her legs. My eyes have become as red as a rabbit's from crying so much. I've long since shed my last tears. Everyone's gone. Forever. Everyone at Criminal, and One-chan, and Mom, and everyone's families. Yes, those guys at Code didn't stop at Yumi and her friends. They even got their hands on everyone's families. Why? Why would anyone do such a thing? Mom, I wanted to go home. One-chan, I wanted to go back to my old life. I wanted to eat Mom's cooking. I wanted to soak in the bath. I wanted to play games with One-chan. I wanted to read books in my warm bed until I dozed off. But all aspects of my old life are gone. Everyone's gone. I no longer have a home. Everything is gone. I end up sobbing again. Hinata-kun, the underclassman at school I just recently got acquainted with. Surprisingly smart, and so grown up it makes Yumi feel ashamed. A boy somewhat hard to approach, but with warmth deep within his eyes. According to what Sensei said, Hinata-kun was apparently killed afterwards as well. From what I'm told, the professor that died back at the center was Hinata-kun's father, or something similar. So perhaps Hinata-kun got caught up in this the same way Mom did. Everyone was killed. Somebody, anybody, please, save me. Deep sadness, bottomless despair, endless loss. At times like these, yes, at times like these, hasn't he come to save me? Hasn't he come to right wrongs for the sake of justice? And now I have the means to call him. If nobody will come to save Yumi, then Yumi will just have to save herself. Fighting spirit gushes forth from within my body, just like it did with One-sama. Yumi considers calling him out once more, but she hesitates. She can't take that one last step. After all, Yumi wasn't strong enough to do anything to stop that atrocity. He mercilessly shoots down man after man without concern for his surroundings. Is he really a messiah, and not a destructive demon? My sister's words resound in my head. Even at the bitter end, no one believed, not Leader, nor Mika-chan, nor Kosuke-kun. But that's why Yumi must believe. Yumi must be his ally. An old, fleeting memory spreads forth from deep within my mind, like a bursting bubble. I take out the precious rosary that Leader entrusted to me. It's okay.
お姉ちゃん、リーダー、コウスケくん、ミカちゃん、お母さん、ひなたくん、ユミに、ほんの少しだけ、ユミに勇気を分けてください。
It's okay, because I believe. After all, you...
ヒーはいつだってユミのヒーローだったから。
I offer a single prayer, and one soft kiss upon the rosary. Huh. Ram. He is attempting to awaken. I immediately sense his stirring. The hero whose body had been torn into millions upon millions of data fragments and scattered across cyberspace. A wish left forever ungranted, regardless of my desire, that which can be searched for but never found, my one and only. The fragments become attracted to a boy, his soul twin, and begin to converge as one yet again. And the countless prayers of countless people, their innumerable wishes, their infinite desires, their firm belief in his existence, convert his myth into reality. The number of sites dotting cyberspace to praise his name are already innumerable. Soon it will surpass the critical stage. I know that. All that's needed now is a strong impetus. Just one single impetus. And finally, that impetus arrives.
力が欲しい。何者にも屈しない絶大な力が。この深い絶望から這い上がれる力が。
Everything is trying to converge into one. For example, take a staircase ascending to infinity. A spiral, ascending higher and higher, far above, farther above. Reaching for the moon, the crimson mother moon, the moon, red as a rabbit's eye, gazes upon the girl. Seeking for the mother, the moon that is the love eternal, warmth, warm as a rabbit's dream, awaits the girl.
Mama. Mama. Mama.
For example, take the imaginary world. Dive deeper and deeper into the sea of information. Eventually, falsehoods turn to truth. Truth turns to falsehoods, to the third point. Reaching for the truth, the beginning, the river source, the birth, of the sprouting springtime, of the days gone by, the fetus dreams. Seeking for the ideal, the end, the ocean outlet, the death, of the withering autumn time, of the days yet to come, the fetus dreams. For example, take a staircase descending to infinity. A spiral shell, winding deeper and deeper into the vortex. Down and down it goes, far below, farther below. Reaching for its half, its other, separate self, to regain that which was lost, the boy continues to search. Seeking for the twin, the beloved sister with whom he was born into the world. To reclaim she who is lonely, the boy advances. 3 screams, 3 mortal roars, 3 obsessions seeking 3 desires endlessly echo through space. She repeats her endless migration, because she now no longer exists anywhere. But because she doesn't exist anywhere, she can be everywhere. Eternal motion through a closed-off loop going nowhere, or stop motion going nowhere through a looped eternity. At the end of eternity, what is the difference between them? A place nowhere, a moment never. How can one be omnipresent, yet never reach anywhere? Her voice painfully resounds.
誰か、私を導いて。世界は1年で終わっちゃうの。1年しかなくて、それが永遠に繰り返されて、春から夏に、夏から秋に、秋から冬に、冬からまた春に。始まりは終わりで、終わりは始まりで。それは月が満ちては欠け、欠けては満ちるみたいに。それは月と太陽が地球を挟んで一緒になることで、月と太陽が一緒に、一緒に。
Yomotsu Hirasaka? It's dark. So dark you can't see your hands in front of your face. Where could I have gone? That sort of nonsensical question comes to mind. Even though it's meaningless to me as I am now.
イシュタルは冥界の門に近づいて。門番よ。さあ、この門を開け。もしも門を開けて私を通してくれないなら。
That should be THOU. Take off the GH.
私は死者を蘇らせて、生者を食べてしまおう。
The words that spontaneously flow from my lips are quotes from a book I borrowed from Mayumi, The Descent of the Goddess Ishtar into the Lower World, one telling of a Babylonian myth. The goddess Ishtar descended to the world of the dead for a certain purpose. In the process of reaching the world of the dead, Ishtar passed through 7 gates, and as she passed through each gate, she was stripped of one accessory or article of clothing. Eventually, the naked Ishtar dies upon arriving at the world of the dead, but the world above, having lost its goddess of love, was laid to waste. And so, Ishtar was revived in order to restore the world to normal, and this time passed through the gates in reverse order, back to the world above. That's how the story goes. And now, I too have been deprived entirely of my friends, confined in this dark and cold place. Of course, unlike the goddess in the myth, I hold no power over the world above, so there's no reason for anyone to resurrect me. But, if there's one thing I can do... Just then, light shines down on me from above. I look up on reflex. And there, of all things, is her. Her white, almost transparent skin, her eyes full of compassion, her features like those of a goddess. She floats in midair, sky-clad. Her waist-long gray hair glides gracefully through the air.
イシュタル、あかり、私の妹。
There's no doubt about it. She's...
お姉様。
Ereshkigal. My mentor from my days at Anunnaki. My beloved with whom I formed a sister pact. The one who understands me the most. The one I've been seeking forever and ever, but could never find.
お姉様、会いたかったの。
I jump to her, and she catches me. The two of us embrace in this imaginary space.
私も会いたかった。でも、会うまいと思っていた。それは終わりを意味するから。
Even so, I wanted to come meet you, but none of that matters anymore, because now we're here together after so long.
ここはどこ？言ってみれば、一種の冥界ね。あなたは今や、電脳によってネットに転写されたシャドウヌル。つまり、データだけの存在となったの。
それはつまり、死んで、情報だけのゴーストになった。という。
残念ながら、そういうことになるかしら。
じゃあ。
ええ。あなたは創造性を失ったの。でもね。その代わり、バルクな肉体を束縛するすべての古典物理学の法則を逃れ、量子論的な存在に生まれ変わることができる。この意味、あなたにならわかるわよね。
I nod silently. In other words, now I am free from the limitations of time and can even go backwards to the past. Just like the Ishtar of myth going backwards through the seven gates.
私はね、あなたを迎えに来たの。
地獄から救おうとした雲の糸みたいに。
The Spider Thread, a short story by Akutagawa Yonosuke. The Buddha had witnessed Kandata, a sinner who had gone to hell, spare the life of a small spider during his time in the living world. The Buddha dangled a spider thread down to hell in an attempt to drag Kandata up to heaven. Therefore, the phrase spider thread is frequently used in Japanese to refer to a ray of hope that appears in the darkest of times. I say so jokingly.
それだと途中で落っこちちゃうでしょ？せめて、かぐや姫を迎えに来た月の使者と言いなさい。私には、あなたの力が必要なの。
お姉様。
My chest is about to burst. I'm so happy I could cry. One-sama needs me. Could there be any other joy but this?
私にはできない。あなたにしかできないことがある。お願いできるかしら？
I can't hold back my tears from pouring out. I break out into a wide smile, and One-sama smiles back with a smile as bright as the full moon.
私にはできない。あなたにしかできないことがある。お願いできるかしら？
My eyes widen, but there's nobody to be seen. But I'm sure I heard Leader's voice. Was I hearing things? Even if I was, that's fine by me. Yumi is needed. Yumi wants to live up to Leader's expectations.
ユミ、やります。
Things didn't turn out so well last time, but this time. Yumi grasped the rosary and prays. The surface of the cross shows a reflection of Yumi's eyes, both left and right. Her left eye burns blue, activating biocomputer, connecting self to rosary. I am a fragment. I have been lost. I want to regain that. Akari. I love you, my cute little sister. I hand down my wish to you, Akari.
私は彼。火を取り戻したい。
I continue to punch the floor.
僕に力が。
I punch with my right fist this time. The tissue ruptures and blood gushes out. I feel no pain. A pool of blood begins to spread before my eyes. If you so wish it, then I shall grant you power. If you give me something I need, then I will. I nod.
失うものはもう何もありません。
This body now belongs to the cause.
神だろうが悪魔だろうが、望みを聞いてくれるなら、魂をやっても構わない。
The blood flowing down tries to dissuade me, But I've made up my mind. And what is that desire?
リーダーの役に立ちたい。
ムツキよ。妹を救済してほしい。
そのために、アルを、ユミを未来から過去へと導きなさい。
未来から過去へ？
I nod.
私たちは、かつては一緒の楽園にいた。それを思い出して。様々な確執はあったかもしれない。でも、理解と理想を共有していたこともある。そこに解決の糸口はあるはずよ。エンリルと何か手を組める道を探しましょう。確かに、そのやり方は極端で、今では血に飢えたものになっている。けれど、それはただエンリルのみに着せられる罪なのかしら。あんな風になってしまったのは、別のところにも原因がある。私たちを外部から揺さぶった存在。手を差し伸べると見せかけて、一番重要なところで裏切った相手。それは誰かしら。
まさか、それは。
Akari's eyes widen.
今まで考えもしなかったようね。あなたも彼らのために働いていた。だからあなたはエンリルと敵対せずにはいられなかった。
でも、そんな。エクサークはただの企業じゃないんですか？彼らは一体何をしようとしてるんです？
国家よりも危険な企業は存在する。彼らが何を考えているか、そして何をしてきたか。それに気づいたからこそ、エンリルは公然と反旗を翻したのでしょう。自分の命が危なくなることも顧みずに。だからあなたには、やらなければならないことがある。
I place a hand on Akari's shoulder. She slowly looks back up and nods. Her gaze is filled with determination.
お願いね。
Agreed. The second it feels like that word is echoing in my head, a large amount of data begins to be downloaded into me from the network via biocomputer. Waves of information hit me like a tidal wave. I am tossed about by it as if I'd been swallowed up by an avalanche. It feels like I'm viewing images projected at ultra-high speeds. My normal thoughts are lost, my head hurts, my brain is overheating. Unable to bear it, I scream. The download is far from over. Just what is this? I don't have time to think. He. Isaiah Nagi. Dilmu. Isaiah. Exarch. Izawa not what? I see. Marduk? Not sure. Dying girl. Wait, right? No. I can't read it in there. Whatever. I am blind. I am mute. I met you. I won't vanish. One more time. I want to see you one more time. I'm right here. I'm right here. Light bursts open. Suddenly, a deafening sound echoes in the Cyberforce office. Next, sparks shoot up and the sound of several things popping out echoes.
なんだ何が起こった
Got a bad feeling about this. My body is wrapped in divine light. Overflowing power flows within my body. It feels like it's about to explode. My body slowly stands up and raises its face.
俺は手に入れた神の力を
I have obtained a mind and body for me to use as I please. I take out a pair of sunglasses from my pocket and put them on. This world is too bright for me.
再び妹たちを。私は時を超える術を。
Her left eye shining blue, Yumi's biocomputer begins full operation. The rosary becomes one with Yumi. The rosary's embedded key fires a signal as it searches through the net. As expected, he doesn't come. However, an oddity brings itself to light. Something, somewhere is sending a response to the key's signal. A never-before-seen response. Could this be? Nothing is discernible, not even the true meaning behind the response signal. But could this possibly be an indicator of he's current location? If analyzed, can his coordinates be triangulated, like a GPS signal? So basically, he has appeared somewhere in real space. This is nothing but a hunch based on intuition. There's absolutely no evidence for this. But deep down, Yumi is convinced it must be true. He has descended somewhere upon this earth, granting hope and above all bestowing joy to me. The savior we desired has truly appeared. If that's true, then Yumi will do whatever it is she can. Yumi grips the rosary and connects it to her biocomputer once more. What the world needs now is not Yumi the worthless coward. What the world needs now is someone to dispel all of its regrets, and that someone...
ユミはリーダーの意志を継ぐ。
No, not quite. Yumi will become leader herself. I am the one here, and I...
私はみんなの仇を取る。
Activating the voice changer unit Yayoi-sensei had implanted. I must become Ishtar herself in both body and soul. In order to fulfill the cause, I shall succeed the name and will of Ishtar. And that's why leader, no, One-sama, coexists within my soul. Now and forever.
ある？ダメです。すべての枝が外れました。
Wiretap, an electronic interception device. The wiretap connects to a communication wire and taps into the information signal through it.
だと？どういうことだそりゃ。
痕跡がありません。完全に消えてます。
くそ。
I throw the headphones on my head to the floor. What happened? Our system was suddenly cracked. The tracer we put on him has been made into complete mincemeat. This ain't human. It's almost like... I jumped to my feet.
1班は現場に急行。2班はここで連絡を担当。3班はシステムの回復に当たる。
God damn it. Impossible, impossible, impossible! The time has come. Before long, realities and falsehoods will be jumbled together into an undiscernible mix. How great. 1 and 0 are beginning to overlap. Like waking in one's sleep. A hotel room in the city. He sits on the sofa. He stares at a point in the air, folds his arms, and doesn't budge an inch. It's like he's a computer that's shifted to sleep mode. But if anything happens, he can probably deal with it in an instant. There's not a chink in his armor. Wrapped around his right arm is the moon's age, that chronograph. Looking at myself like this makes me feel like I'm looking at another person. Sometimes I see various sceneries pass by my eyes in an instant. I. In English, there are only 2 first-person pronouns which refer to only one person, I and me, and its derivatives. However, in Japanese, there are various ways to say I. Watashi, the standard way of saying I, can be used by both men and women. Boku, a more casual term used by boys and young men. Ateshi, another casual term used by women. Ore, somewhat arrogant way for a man to refer to himself. Watashi, mostly archaic, yet extremely polite way of referring to yourself. In the story, each of the protagonists uses a different form of I in Japanese, which helps identify them and give a hint at their sense of individuality. As it is important to maintain exactly who is thinking what, the colored eyes appear in important scenes for routes A through D and appear permanently from route E onwards to reflect their usage. Here is what each colored eye corresponds to. Oh, how handy. Blue eye, Boku, used by Aoi Hinata. Red eye, Atashi, used by Akatsuki Akari. Ishtar Alpha, okay, I see. Several Ishtars. And by Shinosuke Mayumi when adopting Akari's persona. Ishtar Omega, Inanna. Yellow eye, Yumi, used by Shinosuke Mayumi. Green eye, Ore, used by he. Black eye, Watashi, used by Mutsuki, Ereshkigal, Shinosuke Mayumi in very rare cases, and more. Gray eye, used by other perspectives in Route E. Note that there are also some cases where you will find the word me colored as well. This is to emphasize the character's sense of self. For example, if you find a blue me, it's meant to emphasize Hinata's self. On another note, the colored gray eye has no actual meaning. It's just meant to keep up with the consistency of viewpoint characters having colored eyes. Furthermore, if you go back and read routes A through D at this point, which we already have, you'll find that all of the respective eyes are colored in now. This is to retain a sense of continuity with the Japanese version, which used these terms all throughout the original, yet their true nature was initially concealed in this version in order to avoid revealing their significance until the proper time. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Is this Babylon? It looks like he is searching that virtual world. For something or someone. By his side is a combot. It looks familiar. It's the same as the one from the school's infirmary. Suddenly, he begins to move. His gaze turns towards the robot. Just then, the robot's replay feature activates. It projects a small hologram that talks to he. The person in the hologram is... By the time I get there, all that's left is a deserted ruin. All that I see is a tragic mountain of wreckage. Broken window panes, smashed up lights, a collapsed floor full of holes, damaged security cameras hanging downwards. All the machinery and tools housed here have fallen silent.
もぬけの殻。そういうわけか。
When I say this, as if I'm spitting the words out, someone calls out to me from behind.
結局、あの子たちは自力で巣立っちゃったってことね。
ふざけたこと言うなよ。どうせ君が手引きしたんだろう、アヌ。
The one standing there is Anu, that is to say, Amana Yayoi. This was the establishment prepared for Hinata. It's a building with iron walls, both inside and out, for defense. Of course, it also serves to restrict one's freedom. Judging from her words, it seems that something's happened with R as well.
やってくれるぜ、たく。
私はせっかくあの子たちの命を救ってあげたのよ。なのに、危険な現場へ送り出すわけがないでしょ。
Anu says this nonchalantly.
そんな君の濡れた瞳を、俺はどこまで信じればいいんだろう。
刑事なんでしょ。信じちゃダメよ。
違いね。
そんなことより、やんなきゃいけないことは山ほどあるわ。
As Anu looks down, she takes out a lighter and lights a cigarette.
この山は俺にとっても負けられないんでね。
As I say that, various things run through my mind. Kosuke, Kana, I take out a deep breath.
タバコ。
え？
タバコ一本いいかな。
I hold my hand out apologetically.
あんた確か ずっと禁煙してたんじゃない？
Despite her words, Anu holds out a cigarette.
そういう気分じゃないんでね。
When I look at the brand of cigarette she gave me, various memories of the first time I met her surface in my mind.
まだメンソール吸ってるのか。
もらっといてつべこべ言わない。
これは失礼しました、女王様。なんだお前、女のくせにメルボロ吸ってるのか。
Marlboro. Okay. Yeah.
タバコなんて煙が出ればそれでいいのよ。
色気がねえな。女だったらこう、メンソールとかをだな。華麗に吸ってみたりしろよ。
いいじゃない。私の勝手でしょ。
はいはい、失礼しましたよ、女王様。
そういうあんたは男のくせに何を吸ってるのさ。
俺は禁煙中だ。息子が生まれた時、約束させられてな。子供のために二度と吸うなってさ。
奥さんと子供いるんだ。
俺、この指輪を見てわからんのか。
うっさいわね。私、そういうの興味ないから。ああ、乗り換えちゃおっかな。
何を？
タバコ、メンソールに。
はい？煙が出れば何でもいいんじゃなかったっけ？
私の勝手でしょ。っていうか、メンソールにしろって言ったのはあんたでしょうが。
はあ、女はわけがわからん。
Anu lights her lighter, shielding the flame from the wind with her hand. I slowly but powerfully suck in smoke from the lit cigarette into my lungs, and as I blow it out...
ありがとう。
どういたしまして。貸しとくわよ。
こりゃ高い借りになりそうだな。
The exhilarating scent of menthol spreads through my lungs. My eyes begin to water. The fumes of my first cigarette in 17 years feel rough on the eyes.
私に話せることをみんな話すつもりよ。
Enuma Elish. The combot projects a hologram of a certain person, Amane Yayoi, as she begins to solemnly speak.
長い長い話になるわ。覚悟してね。
I pour freshly brewed coffee into a mug. As the bitter fragrance rises to my nostrils, I taste that black liquid.
まずは軽く自己紹介といきましょうか。今の君と私は初対面みたいなものだしね。
She chuckles lightly.
私の名前は天音弥生。教科学園で恋をやってるものよ。そして仮想世界バビロンを作った張本人でもあるの。バビロンのかつての管理組織、ハッカー集団アヌンナキの名前、君なら聞いたことあるでしょ。そのアヌンナキのトップである三騎士の一人、天空のアヌとは私のことよ。
I take a sip of my coffee and listen to her without even moving an eyebrow.
さて、どこから話したらいいものか。そうね。最初はなぜ私たちがバビロンを作ったのか、そこから始めましょうか。きっかけは何というか、自分を見つけ出すためだったというところかな。
5 years ago, she was troubled with a severe sense of depersonalization. She was suffering because she couldn't actually feel a sense of reality from the real world.
自分が IC だなんて、そういった得意体質だなんて思いもしなかったわ。IC の概念は一般には知られていないからね。その頃はなおのことだけど。私は大学に通いながらも、周りの生徒や先生に、親にさえ全く親近感が湧かなかった。まるで薄いベールを隔てての関係。モニターの向こう側にいる存在みたいだったの。見ているもの、話している言葉も私とは 全然違うように感じられて、自分だけがどこか遠い別の次元にいるみたいで、怖くて孤独で。あ、こんな説明は不要だったわね、君には。まあ、そんなわけで自分が病気なんだと思い詰めるようになった私は、症状がどんどんひどくなって、次第に学校にも通わなくなり、部屋に引きこもりがちになった。
Just like a certain someone, I think. Someone very close.
ますます自分の殻に閉じこもっていた私は、やがて自分の存在にさえ信用が置けなくなっていった。私はどこにいるの？ここにいるのだとしたら、リアルを感じない私は誰？いないのだとしたら、ここにいる誰かは誰？そう考える毎日だった。悩んだ末、私が思いついたことは、己の存在を試すこと、そして周りの世界に問いかけること。私はあるプログラムを組んだの。小さい頃から私はコンピュータが好きだった。物心がつくかつかないかくらいの時から親のパソコンに触るのが好きになってたわ。どんなに不安な時でもコンピューターに向かってると安心した。だってコンピューターを伝えたことに明瞭に反応を返してくれる。コンピューターが言うことを聞かない時は自分の組んだプログラムに間違いがあるからでしょ。彼らは問題を曖昧にごまかさないの。とてもシンプルな関係だから。話がそれたわね。で、私が組んだプログラムというのは簡易的なコミュニケーションツールだったの。引きこもり状態だった私がコミュニケーションだなんて笑っちゃうでしょ。でもきっとそれだけ他人との接触を求めていたってことなんでしょうね。私はそのツールをネットワーク上での管理が放置されていたバグダッドのサーバに設置したの。誰でも手にできるフリーウェアとしてね。ただそのツールにはちょっとした仕掛けを施してたんだけどね。なんだと思う？
I'm trying to guess.
嘘、冗談。君がこんなことに答えるとは思えないし、たとえ答えたとしても、正解かどうか、現時点の私には分かりっこないもんね。君が過去に遡るでもしない限り。で、その仕掛けなんだけどね。ちょっぴり難解な暗号を埋め込んでおいたの。ちょっぴりって言っても、普通の人にはまず解けないような、とびっきり特殊なやつよ。今はもう現存してないから見せられないけど、暗号解読の知識だけじゃなく、コンピューターとかネットワークとか、ちょっとした考古学にも通じてないと解けないような。ああ、それはね、バビロニアのくさび型文字にヒントを得た暗号だったの。そして、その暗号を解析できたものだけは、私が持っていたサーバのシークレットアドレスにアクセスできるようにした。要するに、誰もが入手はできるけど、本当の機能が使えるのは、一部の限られた人間だけだったってことね。多分、私は知りたかったんだと思う。自分の存在意義として何が成し遂げられるのかということと、私と同じような人間が他にもいるのかどうかを。私には確信があった。もし私と同じような人間であれば、きっとそのツールを見つけて暗号を解き明かして私のところまで名乗りを上げてくるはずだってね。
The holographic sensei then procures a cigarette and takes a smoke from it. A sorrowful look is on her face. Is it because she remembers her loneliness from back then? With a puff, she blows a thin line of smoke in the air and faces me again.
結果的に、もちろんこれは後になってから分かったことなんだけど、あの暗号はネットワークに極度に親和性の高い IC にしか解けない暗号だった。私は何ヶ月もモニターの前で待ち続けた。誰かが私のアドレスを叩いて、ハローっ ってコンタクトしてくるのをずっと待ってた。毎日毎日、期待で夜も眠れなかった。彼氏からの電話を待ってる時よりも胸が高鳴ってたわね、きっと。そして、ついにその待ち人がやってきた。見事に暗号を解き、最初に私を発見したのは、出雲司だった。彼女は本当に天才的なプログラマーだったわ。だって、たったの4ヶ月と10日であれを解いてしまったんだから。公開以来、彼女のスコアを塗り替えた人間はいないの。それから司と私は何日も何日も語り合ったわ。確信通り、彼女も私と同じ症状と悩みを持ってた。私たちにとってお互いは第一の、そして初めての理解者だった。やがて、司は私のハンドルに倣って中空のエンリルを名乗るようになった。エンリルはバビロニアの主神の一人、風と嵐の神、大気の神。それは強大な荒ぶる神よ。私がそう言うと恥ずかしそうに照れて、だって雲は天と地の中間に位置するだろとも言ってたっけ。それから間もなく、今度はメグ、和田摘みめぐみもやってきた。彼女はプログラマーとして優秀なだけでなく、天才的なデザイナーでもあったわ。それからメグは、エア、バビロニア三主神の大地のエアをハンドルにした。水と知恵の神、芸術神、あるいは太陽の神よ。和田摘みっていうのは怪人のことだから。メグもまた、私や司と同じような人種だった。私たちは知り合って間もないのに、10年来もの友人のような関係になったわ。楽しかったわ。私たち、本当の友達ができたんだものね。
Yayoi-sensei gives a nostalgic and slightly lonely grin. These days must have been long ago for her.
自分たちは特別なのか、それとも世界が特別なのか。私たちはコミュニケーションツール上で夜な夜な議論し合ったわ。この頃になって、あるスピリチュアルなサイトで、イマジナリーチルドレン、IC のことを知ったの。私たちは自分たちが IC であることを強く確信した。やがて、そんな私たち3人が導き出した結論は、IC が異端視されない世界、才能と苦悩を分かち合う者同士のコミュニティ、それが必要だということ。したがって、ページの一部を公開して、自分たち以外にも IC として苦しんでいる子供たちを受け入れようというのは避けられない流れになったわ。公開するにあたり、司やメグは徐々に私の開発したコミュニケーションツールに機能やゲーム性を付け加えていったわ。主にメグがビジュアル面を担当し、司がそれをプログラムして組み込む。私がやったのはアイディア提供とそれらを組み込むにあたって相対としてのバランスを取ることかしら。間もなく進化したコミュニケーションツールはネット上の RPG 的となり、必然的にバビロンと名付けられたの。その背徳的な雰囲気の漂う世界観は、社会から阻害された自分たち IC を象徴していたからよ。
I quickly look at the curtains that are shielding the window. Is it clear outside, or is ashen rain falling? Here outside the box, I don't have a way of finding out.
そのバビロンに最初に接触してきたのは、エレシキガルと名乗る少女だった。エレシキガルってのは、バビロニアの冥界の女神のことね。彼女が私たちと同じルーツのハンドルを使ってたのは偶然だったみたいだけど、とても悲しそうな目をした子だったわ。 なんでもリアルの彼女は目が見えないんだって言ってた。彼女には IC について私たちよりも深い知識と理解があったわ。それもそのはずね。だってエレシキガルには相手が IC かどうか見極められる目があったから。彼女は生来賢を認識する能力がない代わりに人の気配を色として認識する資格を持っていたの。気配の正体は残留千葉や赤外線などの可視光以外の微弱エネルギーが総合されたものらしいんだけど、見える色は人によって異なるそうよ。気配が赤い人もいれば青い人もいる。萌木色の人もいれば白い人もいる。けれどね、イマジナリーチルドレンの色は無色なんだそうよ。色がないの。まるで水晶みたいに。彼女はその目をイマジナリビジョンって呼んでたわ。そしてその目を使って誰かを探してたの。彼女にとってとても大切な人だったそうよ。
I touch my loose hair and stroke it backwards.
けれど残念ながらその人はまだ見つかってなかった。それどころか自分と同じ IC さえ私たちと知り合うまで出会えなかったそうよ。それから彼女はバビロンに腰を落ち着け、私たちの良きアドバイザーとなったわ。エレシュキガルの奥深い知識と知恵は私たちにとって本当に有益なものだったわ。ただ制作そのものに直接は加わらなかったけれど、彼女は何かをやるにはあまりに深い傷を負ってたの。心をね。
Sensei looks downwards and says this with a low voice. She then continues her story. Skillful ICs then arrived after Ereshkigal. First was Nabu, a man who was concerned with little else except computers. Next was Nergal, who considered profit above all else. And then there was Akatsuki Akari, a girl with heterochromia that had extremely sharp intuition, and who would later call herself Ishtar. With these three new development members on board, they all formed the team known as Anunnaki, a name they adopted with added nuance of them being Anu's companions. From that point onward, Anu, Enlil, and Ea, the founding members and core of the team, became collectively known as the Great Triad in the world of Babylon. Babylon began rapidly making progress by the hands of Anunnaki. For communication lines, they decided to use a commercial-grade internet service provider, or ISP, and built a private host server. The visuals and sound were enhanced, the system became both meticulous and overarching, and the world grew bigger and bigger. What's more, almost all of Anunnaki underwent organic biocomputer surgery so that the net would feel even more real to them, but only Ea refused to do so, claiming reality is also real. When she reaches that point, Sensei sighs.
ここまでの話だけど、ご理解いただけたかしら?
I instantly organize all the information I've heard up until now in my brain. There's no problems. But if there's one thing bothering me, it's that...
あんた、弥生先生はアヌンナキの中心人物、プロデューサーだったはずなのに、ほとんど世間には情報が知れ渡ってないな。顔もプロフィールも何一つ俺のサーチに引っかからなかった。あるのは憶測だらけ、謎だらけだ。
I verbalize my questions without thinking about it. At any rate, a hologram recording can't answer them anyway.
私はね、黒幕だったのよ。
However, she unexpectedly answers with perfect timing. It's like she's got a precognition or something. Looks like the omnipotent he has lost face. Her intuition is better than anyone else's. It's like she was born with a considerably hidden shaman-esque power to communicate with spirits. Logic doesn't apply to these kinds of people. I'm rather bad with this type.
あまり表舞台に出たくなかったの。 結果として今の仕事がやりやすくなったんだけど。ほら、私って奥ゆかしくて目立つのって苦手だから。
Yeah, right.
それにミステリアスな女って魅力的でしょ
Oh, brother. But I rather like that. She's also extraordinarily clear-headed. I may not be good with her type, but she wouldn't make a bad partner. That's my impression, at least. I'm listening to Sensei's long story as he, and at the same time, I'm dreaming. A dream about an event that must have happened in the past, or maybe it just seems that way. Mutsuki is on her bed, crying. She embraces her stuffed rabbit, buries her face in her pillow, and sobs. The room is dyed dark blue, as if it were the night sky itself. As if she were Princess Kaguya, gazing at the moon with tears in her eyes every night as she awaits her moon messenger.
寂しいよ。寂しいよ。月うさん。私の周りには誰もいない。学校のクラスメートも、先生も、お父さんやお母さんも、なんだか遠くの人みたいなんだよ。全然、知らない世界の人みたいなんだよ。温かみを感じられないんだよ。お話ししても、あまり言葉が通じないんだよ。私、どうしちゃったのかな？病気なのかな？宇宙人に改造されちゃったのかな？それとも、みんなから嫌われているだけなのかな？怖いよ。寂しいよ。孤独で死んじゃうよ。
She tightly squeezes her stuffed rabbit. Its face has been warped and dampened, as if it were the one crying.
怖いよ。怖いよ。もう、学校になんて行けないよ。外になんて出られないよ。みんな、遠くて、寂しさが増すだけなんだよ。
Mutsuki, I instinctively call out to her in a voice that cannot be heard.
お兄ちゃん。
What? She shouldn't have been able to hear me, right? Or is this also part of the dream? Before long, it becomes clear that it's the latter.
そう。月うさは、お兄ちゃんだけは違うって、そう言いたいのね。
Mutsuki stares at the rabbit's eyes. They're crimson, like blood. Crimson, like a total lunar eclipse.
最近のお兄ちゃんは、よくわからない。いつも考え事ばっかりしてて、遠くばかり見てて、お話を聞いてくれないの。心がここにないの。
True, I guess at that time my heart might not have been there. But that's because, like Mutsuki, my symptoms of being an IC were slowly coming to a head. Because I also felt out of place like her.
きっとね、私のことが嫌いになっちゃったんだよ。
You're wrong. You're wrong, Mutsuki. That wasn't it. It's way too late now. I should have noticed her SOS signals much sooner.
私は、どこにいるの？ここにいるのだとしたら、リアルを感じない私は誰？いないのだとしたら、ここにいる誰かは誰？ねえ、月うさ？君はどこに？
Mutsuki raises her head and looks in my direction, or so it feels like. Suddenly my eyes are looking at hers.
月に、うさぎはいるよね？
月にウサギはいるか。そんなおとぎ話のような問いかけを私たちは延々と繰り返しているようなものだったわ。地上にもリアルスペースにもどこにも存在しない楽園を探してた。模索してた。形にしようとしてたのよ。誰もが思春期の頃に芽生える ここは私のいるべきところじゃない。ここではないどこかにもっと私にふさわしい場所と役割があるに違いない。
Yayoi Sensei smokes her 10th cigarette. The cigarette smoke makes her image fuzzier, into an existence not of this world, into a ghost from another dimension that doesn't exist here.
同志エレシキガルは特にあかりと恋にしてた？彼女を第一の生徒のように見てる節があった。師弟というより仲のいい姉妹みたいだったかな。後にエレシュキガルは肌身離さず身につけていたロザリオをあかりに授けたくらいだから。2028年、4年前のことよ。順風満帆に進化を続けていたバビロンに暗雲が立ち込め始めたのは。
At that time, their funds and infrastructure could no longer keep up with the system as it expanded and experienced greater access numbers each day. The server and communication lines were also gradually reaching their limit, creating a fatal roadblock to the service. When taking into account that their original goal was to make an IC community, there was no meaning in expanding Babylon any further. But the game's user base was no longer composed solely of ICs. They expected further development. Anunnaki was split into different camps concerning what to do with the future of Babylon. Ea and Ishtar thought that they should limit service, but Nergal said they should work out an expansion policy. Enlil agreed with Nergal, though her only reason might have been that she didn't want to agree with Ea and Ishtar. Nabu said that as long as he had code, programs, to write, he had no complaints. Regardless of whether they tried to expand or cut back, he'd have something to do. Ereshkigal observed silently. Sensei said, as fellow IC, we mustn't quarrel, and respected everyone's peace. They came to no conclusion. That said, investing any more would be pragmatically impossible, but on the other hand, they had no practical knowledge on switching over to a full-scale commercial service. Reluctantly, they somehow overcame the situation by gradually reducing things to maintain the status quo. I'm dreaming. That radiance is fading away like the sun setting over the horizon. The other me continues to shine on the other side of the Earth's surface, and yet...
月うさ、私たちはいつも一緒だよ。だって、修学旅行にだって一緒に行ったもんね。みんなには笑われたけど、私は月うさを手放したりなんてしないよ。だって、君は私の守り神だもんね。
She says that, then smiles like a fairy. As Mutsuki holds her stuffed animal, she turns towards her computer. It has 3 monitors for a multi-display environment. The machine's configuration is specific for very serious professional use. That equipment really doesn't suit a girl.
バビロン?
Wait, what? Babylon? Had Mutsuki already become entranced by that world at this time? Mutsuki continues to quietly talk to herself in her dark room as she faces the monitors. The light from the monitors bewitchingly reflects on her face.
私の理想の月。この世界で見える月にウサギはいないけど、見えない月なら、みんなの知らない月になら、まだ誰も確かめていないんだから、そこには月ウサギいるよね。だって、そこには妖精だっているんだもん。
In the monitor, a fairy flutters about in midair, as if she's Tinkerbell guiding Wendy to Neverland.
もしいなくても、私が生み出すことだって。
In Mutsuki's eyes is the fairy, dancing a captivating dance.
月うさ、私、決めた。私、確かめてみたいの。自分の存在を。私が、ここにいるのかどうか。そしてね、聞いてみたいの。この世界に。私が、ここにいてもいいのかどうか。
Mutsuki hugs Moonbunny even tighter.
見てて。私、挑戦してみる。
While still holding her stuffed animal with her right arm, she slowly types 3 letters on the keyboard with her left hand, one by one. S, I, N. And then she mutters something with a blank expression.
半分子だけいて、半分子だけいない。
Yayoi Sensei's story is still continuing.
2029年。ついに、プロバイダからバビロンのサービスの停止要請が通達されたの。現実という名の脅威は神々を殺し、世界をも消し去ろうとしてたわ。それはまるでバビロニア神話において神々を一掃しようとした嵐の鳥、アンズーのようだった。当時のバビロンはまさに半死半生。半分生きて半分死んでたわ。どちらとも言える状態だった。新たなメンバーが増えたのもこの頃。その名はシン。そう、ムツキのことよ。彼女は司が招き入れたの。いつどこでどのようにして彼女と知り合ったのかは誰も知らない。でも私たちがムツキという子を知ったとき、すでに二人は恋な関係のように見えたわ。エレシキガルとアカリみたいにね。司は言ったわ。崩壊寸前のバビロンをなんとか立て直したいって。そのためには優秀な人材が一人でも多く必要だって。私たちは誰一人としてムツキの参入を拒絶しなかったわ。だって司の願いは私たちの宿願でもあったから。バビロンはすでに消滅寸前だったのよ。けれどね、そんな時だったのよ。あいつらが介入してきたのは世界最大規模のコングロマリット、エクサーク。彼らが強力なスポンサーとして名乗りを上げてきたの。
When she says the name Exarch, Yayoi Sensei's eyes sway and flare up. Just what complex emotions of hers could be struggling in there? I quickly glance at my right wrist. I stare intensely at the X seal engraved into the chronograph around my wrist.
彼らは社への従属と引き換えに大量の資本を投下し、諸問題を解決することを提案してきた。
Knowing they didn't have much of a choice if they wanted Babylon to survive, Anunnaki agreed to their proposal. And so they immediately upgraded the server and communication lines and created a commercial service system. Each of Babylon's ISP contractors were acquired by Exarch, and thus a new world system was constructed by Exarch. Exarch was Babylon's new chief god. They were its high ruler. The advertisements all over Babylon deified Exarch. The Tokyo government office building located in Shinjuku, in the heart of the city, was rebuilt as a ziggurat, where it became the headquarters for Anunnaki and Exarch's Babylon division. Ishtar was earnestly delighted that the community had been saved. Ereshkigal, however,
最後までエクサーク介入に異議を申し立てていたエレシキガルはアヌンナキを去り、どこへともなく旅立っていった。きっとまた例の探し人を求めてなんでしょうね。
just before she left, she said these following words to Sensei.
彼らには箱舟に乗る資格もないのですから。
The only thing she left to Ishtar, who was now suffering from a deep sense of loss, was that rosary. Due to Exarch's large-scale promotion, Babylon expanded in scope, and the number of users grew exponentially. Babylon was boasting its greatest prosperity since it was created, and that force reached all the way up to the heavens. Enlil also began to hate Exarch, though in a different meaning than Ereshkigal did. That's because Enlil saw their gaudy, shining advertisements and their lust for only profit as nothing but ignoble acts. she reached the point where she also cursed herself for ever supporting Exarch's entry.
神聖バビロンの増大ぶりは、とどまることを知らなかった。
Before long, Babylon, whose name had spread all over the world by that point, ended up being called too radical by the media. But instead, that bad press became fitting publicity for Babylon. Babylon's stage grew enormous until it even completely covered all of Tokyo. All of its users enthusiastically supported Babylon. The number of users explosively increased, like a big bang. But almost all of those users were non-ICs. What's more, in order to support them, Exarch provided an, at the time, experimental model of a certain something to be used as a server for Babylon. A quantum computer.
量子コンピューターだと。
I have an intense reaction to that phrase. Quantum computers. Computers using a system that, once feasible, will be expected to replace the current von Neumann architecture. The system doesn't use processing methods with old 0 and 1 bits, in short, whether the power is on or off, but behaves according to quantum theory, using quantum bits or qubits for parallel processing calculations. It's a system that shows amazing power even with complex calculations. In just a short time, it can derive calculations that take an astronomical time for modern computers. It's known that many countries have successful experimental level ones, but it seems they haven't reached practical use levels as of yet. Come to think of it, it was rumored that Exarch had managed to complete a prototype several years ago. In 2020, it was officially announced that Exarch had given up development of its own quantum computer, but it seems that was a lie. Was that arbitrary misinformation so they could continue development in secret? Of course, the fact that Babylon's latest server was a quantum computer was apparently only known by those involved with it. But anyway, why is it leaving me this shaken? Is there something in my memories that fears it? I need to remember something. A quantum computer and my keys past. It's bugging me, but it might be too dangerous to pursue that right now. Well, whatever. I can think about it all I want later. I'll rewind the Combot's projection and replay the part that I missed during my Berserk episode.
導入された量子コンピュータの圧倒的な処理能力は、ユーザービッグバンを一気に解決したの。
Sensei indifferently resumes her explanation as if nothing had happened. Well, nothing actually did happen in front of her, so that's only natural.
その様相は、海流ティアマトを打ち倒し、その体を引き裂いて世界を作り出した神々の王、マルドゥークを彷彿とさせたわ。
And thus the central server was named Marduk, and Sin was put in charge of raising the AI that controlled it. On the other hand, Nabu was enchanted by the quantum computer itself, and spent nearly every day and night lending a hand to Babylon's reconstruction as its exclusive manager. This was the greatest support possible to Yayoi-sensei, the creator of the world, and to Ea, the presenter of the world. Of course, they planned to use it for their own purposes in the long run. In other words, they continued to hack Babylon. Ishtar used her eye to scout for ICs amongst the new users and trained them to be their comrades. On the other hand, Nergal kept an eye on the general users and compiled a database of their real-world social status and abilities. He looked for talented human resources. And on yet another hand, it seems Enlil was boldly trying to hack her way into somewhere. Enlil had been tormented with extreme distrust and suspicion of others since Exarch's entry, and thus made no attempt to inform the other members of Anunnaki, not even Yayoi-sensei, of any details about her agenda. Yayoi-sensei only learned about this agenda later, but the somewhere that Enlil was hacking at the time was, naturally, Exarch. Since when did she start wearing that dark rosary with its ominous design? It looks pretty wicked to me. I think this is a good place to stop. So this is really interesting and a lot to process, of course. So, well, next time we'll continue diving into whatever this is. Bye.